Have you ever stopped to ask yourself what it really takes to live a deeply fulfilling life? If so, you're not alone. In today's world, it's so easy to get distracted, chasing milestones, possessions, likes, and attention, yet still feel empty inside. Everyone seems to be chasing happiness, but very few actually talk about what it means to find it, without offering some shiny shortcut or illusion. That's why today we're stripping away the noise. No gimmicks, just the timeless truths that both modern psychology and ancient Stoic philosophy teach us about real happiness. And here's a spoiler, it's not about big dramatic moments. It's in the little things we forget to notice, laughing more, reconnecting with nature, waking up with purpose and learning when to unplug. If you've ever felt like you're doing everything right but still feel off inside, this video is for you. Together we're going to uncover how the wisdom of the Stoics, backed by science, is still guiding us, especially now in the 21st century. But first, let me tell you a story that brings today's lessons to life. There was once a young man named Mark who lived in a peaceful valley. From the outside, his life looked perfect. He had all the comforts, all the material things he thought he needed. But inside, something always felt missing. So Mark made a bold decision. He left the safety of his routine to search for something deeper, the true meaning of happiness. On his journey, he met a wise elder living alone on a quiet hill. They spoke for hours, and before Mark left, the old man shared 3 simple truths, 3 timeless principles that could unlock a joyful life. He said, "You don't need more. You need to practice 3 things: gratitude, acceptance, and love." Mark didn't fully understand, but he listened. The elder continued, "Gratitude, because without appreciating what you already have, nothing will ever be enough. Acceptance, because life will always change, and peace comes from flowing with it, not fighting it. And love, because when you love what you do, who you're with, and who you are, you begin to glow from within. That light, Mark, is happiness." As Mark walked away and started living by those 3 truths, he began to feel different, lighter, more grounded. He wasn't chasing happiness anymore. He was becoming it. And when the people back in the valley asked him what changed, Mark simply smiled and said, "Happiness isn't something you find, it's something you live. And it begins with gratitude, acceptance, and love." So today we're going to explore timeless lessons that can help you live with more intention, peace, and inner strength. These insights aren't just philosophical ideas, they're practical tools you can use to create real change in your daily life. From ancient wisdom to modern science, everything we'll cover is designed to help you reconnect with what truly matters. But before we begin, if this kind of content speaks to you, if you're seeking clarity, purpose, and a more meaningful path, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Ready to change your life? Let's get started. 1. Laugh more. Have you ever noticed how serious we make life out to be? It's as if we're all competing to carry the heaviest load, to look the most stressed, to treat every small inconvenience like the end of the world. But what if we've been looking at it all wrong? Somewhere along the way, we forgot how powerful it is to just let go and laugh. Both science and ancient Stoic wisdom agree on this. Laughter isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. It's not just something that feels good, it's something that heals, restores, and brings us back to life. Let's rewind for a moment and look at the Stoics, the masters of self-control and emotional resilience. At first glance, you might think these philosophers were too serious for laughter. After all, they valued discipline and composure. But even they understood that keeping a light heart in heavy times wasn't weakness. It was wisdom. Epictetus once said, "People are not disturbed by things, but by the view they take of them." That truth unlocks something deeper. Your reaction shapes your experience. And laughter. Laughter is one of the most powerful reactions you can choose. It doesn't erase the hardship, but it reminds you that you're still alive, still here, still capable of joy, no matter what. When you laugh, your body responds. It releases endorphins and serotonin, natural mood boosters. It lowers cortisol, the stress hormone, and slows down adrenaline. Your nervous system resets. You feel lighter, calmer, even a little stronger. It's not magic, it's biology. But it feels like magic, because it changes your entire emotional state. Imagine life as a wild roller coaster. Twists, turns, uncertainty at every corner. Laughter doesn't remove the ride, but it steadies your seatbelt. It reminds you to throw your hands up sometimes and feel the wind instead of bracing for the worst. Dr. Lee Burke's research from Loma Linda University backs this up. Just a few moments of real laughter can lower blood pressure, strengthen your immune system, and reduce the effects of stress. And you don't even need to be in the mood to laugh for it to work. Studies show that even forced laughter, like in laughter, yoga, or therapy, can have the same powerful effects on your brain and body. That means you don't have to wait for life to be perfect to let yourself smile. You can practice joy, even in the storm. If cancer patients in laughter therapy can find strength and hope through humor, you can too. If they can smile through pain, surely we can learn to laugh through minor inconveniences, long traffic jams, or days that just didn't go our way. So how do you start? Start small. Laugh at your own clumsy moments. Laugh at the awkward silence. Laugh at the memes that make no sense but still get you grinning. You don't need to be a comedian. You just need to be open. Every time you let yourself laugh, you're choosing to focus on the light. You're creating a pattern, training your brain to look for joy, even in the ordinary. Think about it. You're running late, stuck in traffic, frustrated. You can clench your jaw and let the pressure eat away at you, or you can notice how absurd it all is and smile. Play a funny podcast. Remember us a ridiculous memory. You're still late, but now you're not suffering. You've shifted from powerless to present. That's what laughter does. It puts you back in charge. Laughter is not just entertainment, it's empowerment. A daily habit of joy, even for a few minutes, has the power to transform your entire emotional landscape. So when life feels heavy, remember, you don't have to carry it all with a frown. Laughter is always an option, and often it's the wisest one. As the old saying goes, laughter is the best medicine. And when nothing else seems to be working, that medicine might be exactly what your soul needs to keep moving forward. 2. Get outside and connect with nature. When was the last time you truly felt connected to the earth, to yourself, to the moment? Think about your typical day. Most of us spend it boxed in. Walls, screens, artificial lighting, recycled air. We go from one digital task to the next, and by nightfall it can feel like the day passed without us ever living in it. But deep down we know this isn't how we're meant to live. Human beings were designed for something richer, something more grounding, and that something is nature. The Stoics believe that to live a good life, we must live in harmony with nature, not just the trees and rivers, but our own nature as well. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished." There's a quiet wisdom in that. Nature has its rhythm, its pace. It doesn't rush, and yet it grows, adapts, thrives. When we align ourselves with that rhythm, something incredible happens. Our minds slow down, our hearts open up. Life starts to feel less like a race and more like a path. You don't need to disappear into the forest for weeks to reconnect. Just step outside, a walk through your neighborhood, a bench at the park, the sun warming your skin, the breeze brushing your face. These little moments carry deep medicine. Science backs this up. According to research published in Environmental Health Perspectives, just 20 minutes in a natural setting can significantly reduce cortisol, the stress hormone. That's right. 20 minutes with trees can do what hours of scrolling or caffeine can't. It calms you, gently and powerfully. You might be thinking, but I live in a city, or I don't have time. The truth is, it doesn't take much. Forest bathing, a Japanese practice of simply being among trees, has shown remarkable benefits: lower blood pressure, improved immunity, higher energy levels. And even if you don't have a forest nearby, the principle still holds. Go where there's green, where there's light, where there's stillness. Even a rooftop garden, a patch of grass, or an open window can offer connection. Ask yourself, when was the last time you looked up at the sky, not for a photo, but just to appreciate it? When did you last feel grass under your feet, not as a background, but as a living thing? These may sound like small things, but they awaken something ancient within us. Nature has a way of reminding us what matters, that the world is bigger than our deadlines, that storms pass, and seasons change, and growth takes time. The Stoics saw nature as their teacher, watching the way rivers flow around obstacles or how trees bend with the wind. They saw strength in softness, wisdom in stillness. And we can too. Each leaf, each breeze, each drop of rain, it all whispers the same truth. You are part of something bigger. You're not alone in your struggle. You're woven into the fabric of life itself. So how do you start? Start small. Step outside without your phone. Walk slowly. Notice the sounds, the smells, the colors. Make it a daily ritual, even for just 5 minutes. These moments of presence will begin to reset your mind and nourish your soul. And as you make this a habit, something beautiful happens. You'll start to crave it. You'll start to notice beauty again. A flower blooming through a crack in the sidewalk, the light hitting your room just right, the feeling of being alive. In the end, nature isn't a background to our lives. It's part of our healing, our clarity, our balance. The Stoics knew it. Science confirms it. And your heart already feels it. So the next time the world feels overwhelming, don't reach for a screen. Step outside, breathe, and remember, you belong here. 3. Be a morning person. Let's be honest, mornings have a rough reputation. For many people, the sound of an alarm is the signal to groan, roll over, and negotiate with life for 5 more minutes of peace. It's no wonder that we associate mornings with struggle. But what if we've been looking at it the wrong way? What if mornings aren't punishment, but possibility? What if the early hours could become your sacred time, a space to rise not just from sleep, but into your power? The Stoics saw mornings not as a chore, but as a gift. Marcus Aurelius, emperor and philosopher, wrote, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, 'I am rising to do the work of a human being.'" In those words lies the Stoic view of mornings, not as something to avoid, but something to embrace. Because the way you begin your day sets the tone for everything that follows. When you own your morning, you reclaim your life. Modern science agrees. Studies show that early risers are more optimistic, more focused, and less prone to stress. A study from the University of Toronto found that people who wake up earlier report higher levels of happiness and overall satisfaction. They tend to eat better, move more, and feel more in control. And that's the secret. It's not just about getting up earlier. It's about choosing to start your day with intention rather than reaction. Imagine this. The world is still quiet. There are no emails, no notifications, no demands pulling at you. It's just you and the opportunity to center yourself. Maybe it's a few moments of silence. Maybe it's journaling, stretching, or sipping coffee while watching the sunrise. These small rituals don't just feel good. They give you clarity. They remind you that you are not just reacting to life, you are shaping it. The Stoics believed deeply in reflection, and morning was the perfect time for it. Seneca once wrote, "The mind must be given relaxation. It will rise improved and sharper after a good break." The early hours are your reset, your time to gather your thoughts, prepare your mind, and reconnect with your values before the world rushes in. And you don't need to wake up at 5 a.m. to benefit. Even waking up just 15 minutes earlier, with purpose, can change how you feel and function. If you've always told yourself, "I'm not a morning person," understand this. Mornings aren't about personality, they're about rhythm. They're about reclaiming the start of your day before chaos sets in. And the best part? You get to decide how that start looks. Whether it's movement, meditation, prayer, or simply breathing in the silence, it's yours. Your time to become grounded, grateful, and strong. And yes, the transition may be uncomfortable at first. You might feel groggy, sluggish, or tempted to hit snooze, but keep going. Because on the other side of that resistance is something powerful, a sense of mastery. You'll begin to notice that your thoughts are clearer, your reactions slower, your choices more aligned. You'll stop rushing through life and start moving with purpose. There's also a practical side to it. When you wake up earlier, you're ahead of the game. You've already centered yourself before the world begins demanding things from you. You get to lead the day, not chase it. Tasks get done, challenges feel lighter. And most importantly, you feel stronger, because you've already proven to yourself that you can rise and meet life head-on. In the end, becoming a morning person isn't about joining some productivity cult. It's about giving yourself the gift of time. Time to think. Time to breathe. Time to start your day aligned with who you are and who you're becoming. So, tomorrow morning, when your alarm rings, don't roll over. Rise. Not because you have to, but because you get to. You get to show up for your life, with intention and clarity. That's the Stoic way. And it just might be the change that shifts everything. 4. Pack your days with plans. Have you ever wondered why some days seem to fly by while others crawl? It's a strange thing, how time bends, depending on what we do with it. We've all had those empty weekends that left us feeling oddly drained. even though we did nothing. And then there are the days so full of purpose that even though we were busy, we end them with a smile. The truth is, it's not just about staying busy, it's about staying meaningfully busy. The Stoics understood this deeply. They knew that how we fill our time shapes who we become. Seneca, one of Stoicism's great minds, once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Time, in his view, was one of our most precious resources. But here's the thing. It's not slipping away because life is too short. It's slipping away because we aren't being intentional. When you pack your days with plans that matter, plans that reflect your values, your goals, your passions, you begin to reclaim your time. You stop drifting and start directing. This isn't about cramming your calendar or turning your life into an endless checklist. It's about waking up each day with a sense of direction. When you know what you're working toward, your energy becomes focused. Your distractions lose their grip. You start to feel a rhythm, a forward motion that builds confidence and momentum. Science backs this up. Studies show that people who plan their days with intention tend to feel happier and more in control of their lives. Because when you have a plan, you don't just react, you lead. Think of your time like currency. Every day you're handed a fresh deposit of hours. You can spend it wisely, investing in things that bring you joy and growth. Or you can let it slip through your fingers, spent on things that leave you feeling empty. The Stoics would urge us to invest wisely, to make sure that our days include activities that nourish our mind, strengthen our character, and deepen our relationships. So how do you begin? Start by asking yourself, what truly matters to me? What are the things I always say I want to do but never make time for? Is it writing, learning, moving your body, calling someone you love? Whatever it is, put it in your schedule. Treat it like it matters. Because it does. Your time is your life. Guard it. Use it. Honor it. A powerful way to approach this is by chunking your day, dividing it into focused blocks. Maybe you start your morning with deep work or creative projects. Use the afternoon for meetings or collaborative tasks. Leave the evening for rest, reflection, or connection. This doesn't just make you more productive. It gives your day a sense of flow, a rhythm that respects your energy levels and your humanity. Don't forget the power of small wins. You don't need to conquer mountains daily. Even simple goals, like taking a walk, finishing a chapter, or reaching out to someone, can give you a sense of accomplishment. The key is consistency. The Stoics believed that greatness wasn't built in bursts, but in steady, intentional action. Each day is a brick. Lay it with care. And yes, life is unpredictable. Plans get derailed. Emergencies come up, but here's where Stoic wisdom shines. It teaches us to be flexible, to accept what we can't control, and to adjust with grace. If your day goes off track, don't beat yourself up. Just refocus, re-engage, begin again. What matters isn't perfection, it's intention. At the heart of all this is a question. Are you living your days, or are they living you? When you begin to pack your time with plans that align with your highest values, you'll find that life feels fuller, not busier, but more meaningful. Your days won't just pass, they'll build something, you, your growth, your purpose. So plan with intention, protect your time, and fill your life with the things that matter most. 5. Don't quit on what you love. How many times have you thought about walking away from something you once loved, just because it got hard? Maybe it was a passion project, a creative pursuit, a dream career, or a goal that once made your eyes light up. But then life happened. You got busy. The progress slowed. The obstacles grew. And that little voice in your head started whispering, maybe it's not worth it. But here's what the Stoics would tell you. What you love, what truly calls to your soul, is worth fighting for. Not because it's easy, but because it's yours. Seneca put it beautifully when he said, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare, but because we do not dare that they are difficult." The Stoics believed that struggle is not the enemy. It's the pathway. Anything that matters, anything that makes life rich will ask something from you. Time, energy, patience, resilience. But giving up on it? That's not release. It's regret in disguise. So why do we quit? Most of the time, it's not because we've outgrown our passions. It's because we get discouraged. We look around and see others moving faster, achieving more, or looking more polished. We hit resistance and think, maybe this isn't for me. But the Stoic perspective reminds us, it's not about the pace, it's about the persistence. What you're doing, what you love, may be slow, but it's building you. Every setback is sharpening you. Every delay is teaching you strength. Think about the last time you stuck with something through the hard parts. Maybe it was writing a book, finishing a course, learning a new skill, or simply showing up day after day for a goal no one else understood. You struggled, yes, but you also grew. The Stoics valued that kind of endurance, the quiet, steady kind. They knew that the process was the reward, that you're not just chasing results, you're becoming someone in the process. And science agrees. Research shows that people who stay committed to their passions, even when progress feels slow, report higher levels of happiness, better mental health, and a stronger sense of purpose. Why? Because doing what you love aligns you with something deeper. It connects you to your true self. It's not about external rewards, it's about internal fulfillment. But don't be fooled. This doesn't mean you won't feel tired or lost sometimes. You will. That's part of the journey. What matters is how you respond. When it gets hard, go back to your why. Why did you start? What did it awaken in you? What does it feel like when you're in flow, doing what lights you up? Reconnect with that feeling. It's still there, and it's worth protecting. Progress often looks like nothing is happening, like you're pouring your heart into something and getting silence in return. But beneath the surface, roots are growing. Foundation is forming. Just because you can't see it yet doesn't mean it's not working. The Stoics would urge you, trust the process, show up, even if it's just for 10 minutes today, even if it's one small step forward. These moments compound. They become the breakthrough. And sure, quitting might feel like relief in the moment, but it often leaves behind a quiet ache, the ache of what could have been. The Stoics believed that we should avoid that kind of regret, not because of guilt, but because we are capable of so much more than we think. They taught that the obstacle is the way, that what stands in your path is not a block. It's a teacher, a chance to grow stronger. So if you're feeling stuck, ask yourself, is this hard or have I stopped believing in myself? Most of the time, it's not the dream that fades, it's our confidence in our ability to reach it. The good news, confidence is built through action, through showing up, through refusing to let fear or fatigue dictate your future. In the end, doing what you love is a privilege. Not everyone gets the chance. If you have a passion, protect it, nurture it, return to it, even if you've stepped away. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be real. And when it's real, it will feed your spirit in ways nothing else can. As Seneca reminds us, it is not because things are difficult that we do not dare, but because we do not dare that they are difficult. So dare. Keep going, not because it's easy, but because it matters. 6. Go for kindness. In a world that feels increasingly rushed, divided, and distracted, kindness can seem like a forgotten art. We brush past each other on the streets, scroll past each other online, and sometimes forget that behind every face is a heart carrying unseen struggles. But here's what the Stoics believed, and what modern science confirms. Kindness isn't weakness. It's one of the greatest strengths a person can have. It heals, it unites, and most importantly, it transforms, not just the world around you, but you. Marcus Aurelius, emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote, "Kindness is invincible, but only when it is sincere." That's the key. Real kindness isn't about being nice just to be liked. It's about choosing to be a force for good in a world that often chooses otherwise. And that choice, made again and again, even when it's hard, builds character, resilience, and peace of mind. Because when you are kind, even when you could be bitter, you prove to yourself that you are not shaped by the world. You are grounded in your values. Kindness creates ripple effects. One simple gesture, a smile, a compliment, a helping hand, can lift someone who's on the edge of giving up. And here's the beautiful part. Science shows that acts of kindness don't just help the receiver, they help you. Studies from UCLA and other institutions show that being kind reduces stress, improves mood, and even strengthens your immune system. The hormone oxytocin, released during acts of kindness, lowers blood pressure and makes you feel more connected. In other words, kindness is not just a moral ideal, it's a form of medicine. and it's accessible to everyone. You don't need wealth, status, or the perfect words. You just need presence. The Stoics believed we are all part of a greater whole, a universal community. Epictetus said, "We are all brothers and sisters by nature." That's not just poetic, it's practical. It reminds us that our kindness shouldn't be selective. It should reach everyone. Even those we disagree with, even those who may never thank us. Because kindness is not about what we get, it's about who we are. Think back to the last time someone was kind to you, unexpectedly. Maybe it was small. A stranger held the door, a friend sent you a thoughtful message, a coworker went out of their way to help. Those moments stick with us. They remind us that the world still has good in it, that we still have good in us. Imagine being that reminder for someone else. So how do we practice kindness more often? Start by slowing down. Pay attention. Be present in your interactions. When someone speaks to you, really listen. When someone's struggling, offer support without judgment. These small shifts open the door to connection, and when someone tests your patience, when someone cuts you off, snaps at you, or seems thoughtless, that's when kindness becomes a superpower. That's when you choose peace over pride. The Stoics weren't pushovers. They believed in strength, boundaries, and justice. But they also believed that your inner peace is worth more than any argument. They taught that you cannot control others, but you can always control your response. And choosing kindness is one of the most empowering responses you can give. It's not passive. It's a declaration. I am not here to add more noise, more anger, or more pain. I'm here to bring light. You don't have to change the world, just change the way you move through it. One kind act at a time. Hold the door. Say thank you. Offer a hand. Reach out to someone you've been meaning to check on. And most importantly, be kind to yourself. You can't pour from an empty cup. The more compassion you offer yourself, the more you'll be able to give others without burning out. In the end, kindness isn't just about other people. It's about who you become when you make it your way of life. You become softer, but stronger, calmer, but more connected. As Marcus Aurelius said, when you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. Add to that list, to be kind. Because every act of kindness is a choice to rise above and to rise into the person you were meant to be. 7. Say yes more often. How many opportunities have slipped by simply because you said no out of fear, doubt, or habit? It's easy to get caught in the comfort of routine. We say no to invitations, new experiences, and unfamiliar paths, not because they're wrong for us, but because they challenge us. And yet it's often the yes moments, the unexpected, the uncomfortable, the uncertain, that end up changing everything. The Stoics didn't fear challenge, they embraced it. Epictetus, one of Stoicism's greatest minds, said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Saying yes more often is a mindset, a courageous act of openness. It's not about becoming reckless or saying yes to every demand. It's about being willing to stretch, to explore, to live. Because behind every yes is a possibility. Behind every yes is growth. But why is saying yes so hard? Because new things feel risky. They ask us to be seen, to try, to possibly fail. And failure can feel like exposure. But the Stoics taught that discomfort isn't a signal to retreat, it's a signal to lean in. They believed life's purpose wasn't to avoid difficulty, but to meet it with strength and curiosity. That's how you grow. That's how you evolve. Think about the last time you said yes to something that scared you a little. Maybe it was speaking up, going somewhere new, saying yes to love, to help, to change. It probably wasn't easy, but chances are it shaped you. Every time you choose to say yes to life, you reclaim your power. You become a participant, not just an observer. And it's not just philosophy. Science supports this. Research shows that trying new things releases dopamine, the brain's feel-good chemical associated with motivation and joy. In other words, saying yes activates your brain's reward system. You feel alive, energized, engaged. You break the cycle of sameness and rediscover wonder. Saying yes doesn't have to mean big life changes. It starts small. Say yes to coffee with a friend. Say yes to that class you've been curious about. Say yes to stepping outside your comfort zone, even just a little. These tiny decisions add up. They open doors. They reveal parts of you that routine keeps hidden. The Stoics would argue that every yes to growth is a step toward virtue, and every act of courage, no matter how small, is a win. And yes, there will be moments where saying yes leads to awkwardness or failure. That's okay. The Stoic path is not about perfection, it's about resilience. They taught that what matters most is not the outcome, but the effort. That a life of meaning is built not on constant certainty, but on a willingness to engage with life, even when it's messy. Saying yes also strengthens your relationships. How often do we turn down invitations, assuming there will be more time later? But those moments, dinners, walks, spontaneous adventures, are often where the real memories are made. When you say yes to others, you say, you matter. This matters. You create connection. You build bonds. The same goes for professional or personal opportunities. Maybe you've been offered a new role, a collaboration, a challenge that feels beyond your skill set. The Stoics would remind you, you are more capable than you believe. As Marcus Aurelius said, look well into thyself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if thou wilt always look. Your strength isn't out there, it's within you, waiting to be called upon. So, the next time life presents you with something new, before you automatically say no, pause. Ask yourself, what could I gain from this? How might this help me grow? Because often the discomfort you feel isn't a warning, it's an invitation to become more. And the more you say yes, the more your world opens up. In the end, saying yes isn't about chasing every opportunity. It's about being open to life. It's about choosing presence over fear, growth over comfort, experience over regret. So say yes to adventure. Say yes to connection. Say yes to becoming the person you are meant to be. 8. Turn off your phone sometimes. When was the last time you truly sat with your thoughts, uninterrupted? No pings, no scrolling, no background noise, just you and the moment. In today's hyper-connected world, our phones have become a second skin. We reach for them instinctively, for updates, validation, distraction. But the Stoics would ask, at what cost? What are we missing when our attention is constantly pulled away from the here and now? The truth is, we're not just losing time, we're losing presence. And presence is where peace lives. It's where clarity, creativity, and joy are born. Seneca said, "He who is everywhere is nowhere." And isn't that exactly how it feels sometimes? Spread thin across apps, messages, and feeds, but disconnected from the life unfolding right in front of us. Turning off your phone, even for a little while, isn't just about escaping distraction. It's about reclaiming your attention. It's about choosing to be where you are, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. Because the quality of your life is shaped by the quality of your focus. And if your mind is always somewhere else, so is your life. The Stoics didn't have smartphones, but they faced their own version of distraction, noise, temptation, constant busyness. Their answer? Inner stillness. They believed that in silence we meet ourselves, that stepping back from the noise is how we sharpen our minds and realign with what matters. And modern science agrees. Studies show that excessive phone use increases anxiety, weakens memory, and disrupts sleep. Meanwhile, intentional breaks from screens can boost mood, improve relationships, and restore mental clarity. So what's the solution? Simple. Turn it off. Not forever. Just enough to come home to yourself. Start small. Power down during meals. Leave it in another room while you read, reflect, or walk. Try switching it off 30 minutes before bed. These moments of disconnection become sacred. They're where your mind gets to breathe again. And something incredible happens when you unplug. You begin to notice again. The way sunlight hits your window, the sound of your own breath, the people around you. You start to re-engage with life, not as a blur of notifications, but as a sequence of meaningful, irreplaceable moments. Your relationships also improve when you're fully present. We've all been in conversations where someone keeps glancing at their phone. It stings. It signals that the screen matters more than the person. But when you put your phone away, you're saying, this moment matters. You matter. That kind of presence builds trust, intimacy, and real connection. And then there's your work. You might think multitasking makes you efficient, but it actually fragments your brain. Studies show that constant phone checking reduces productivity and increases mental fatigue. When you shut it off, you enter a deeper state of focus, a flow state, where your best work can emerge, undistracted, and undiluted. Even your rest improves. The blue light from screens delays melatonin, making it harder to fall asleep. But when you shut your phone down early, your body relaxes, your thoughts slow down, and sleep becomes deeper and more restorative. A quiet mind is a well-rested mind. The Stoics believed in using tools, but never being owned by them. They would remind us that a phone is just a tool. It can serve you or enslave you. The choice is yours. And choosing to turn it off intentionally, regularly, is an act of strength. It's a reclaiming of agency in a world that profits off your attention. So the next time your fingers instinctively reach for your phone, pause. Ask yourself, what am I looking for right now? Is it connection, relief, validation, or just escape? And could I find that in a breath, in stillness, in the world around me instead? Turning off your phone might seem like a small act, but it's a powerful rebellion against the noise. It's a statement. I choose to be here. I choose to be present. And in that presence, you rediscover life, not as something to scroll through, but as something to live. 9. Take breaks and go on trips. We live in a world that glorifies hustle, the grind, the never-ending to-do list. We wear busyness like a badge of honor, believing that constant motion equals progress. But the Stoics would challenge that belief. They would ask, what's the point of racing through life if you never stop to breathe, to reflect, to truly live? Taking breaks and stepping away, whether for a moment or a journey, is not weakness, it's wisdom. Seneca once said, true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. And what better way to do that than to pause? To create space in your life for stillness, beauty, and restoration. Because the truth is, if you never step back, you burn out. You lose perspective. You forget why you're doing all this in the first place. The Stoics weren't afraid of hard work, but they were masters of balance. They understood that just as nature has seasons, so must we. There's a time for effort, and there's a time for rest. Taking breaks throughout your day isn't laziness, it's strategy. Studies show that the brain's ability to focus and process information declines sharply after 90 minutes of concentration. A short walk, a breath of fresh air, even 5 minutes away from the screen, can reset your brain and elevate your creativity. But beyond the daily pauses, there's a deeper kind of break we often neglect: getting away, taking a real trip. Traveling, even briefly, allows us to disconnect from routine and reconnect with perspective. When you leave your familiar surroundings, you start to see everything, including yourself, more clearly. The Stoics believed in retreating not to escape responsibility, but to renew your spirit for the work ahead. And science echoes this truth. People who take vacations, even short ones, report better mental health, reduced stress, and greater overall satisfaction with life. You don't need a luxury resort. Sometimes all it takes is a drive to the countryside, a hike in the woods, or a day with no schedule at all. It's not about the destination, it's about the space you create in your life to breathe. Breaks and trips also help you connect with the natural rhythms of life. When you pause, you notice more. You hear the birds, feel the wind, taste your coffee more fully. These are the details that give life richness, and yet we miss them when we're always rushing. The Stoics believed that living in harmony with nature meant honoring those moments of simplicity and stillness. And when you do, you come back to your work and your goals with renewed energy, clarity, and purpose. And let's be honest, breaks aren't just for the mind, they're for the heart. When you step away from the noise, you begin to hear your own inner voice again. You remember what excites you, what matters to you. Maybe it's a dream you've shelved, a relationship that needs attention, a truth you've been avoiding. Space makes room for these realizations. It brings you home to yourself. So how do you start? Begin with micro breaks. Set reminders to stand up, stretch, go outside. Schedule real rest into your week, not just scrolling time, but nourishing time. And when you can, plan getaways, even if they're simple. A day in nature, a weekend road trip, a visit to a place that inspires you. These aren't indulgences, they're investments in your well-being. Marcus Aurelius, despite being emperor, often took time to retreat, to write, to think, to be still. And in those moments he found the clarity to lead with wisdom and strength. If he could do it, so can we. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, drained, or disconnected, remember, rest is not the opposite of productivity. It's a powerful part of it. Don't wait until you're burned out. Give yourself permission to pause, to step away, to recharge. Because when you return, you won't just feel rested, you'll feel ready. Ready to face life with energy, gratitude, and a clearer sense of who you are and where you're going. 10. Hang out with friends and family. In the pursuit of success, self-discipline, and growth, we often overlook the quiet truth that gives life its deepest meaning. Relationships. Whether it's a laugh shared with a friend, a warm meal with family, or a heartfelt conversation with someone you trust, these are the moments that ground us. The Stoics, despite their reputation for emotional control, understood this better than most. They knew that human connection isn't a distraction from life's purpose. It's at the heart of it. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "Men exist for the sake of one another. Teach them then, or bear with them." To the Stoics, we weren't meant to go through life alone. We were meant to live in harmony, to lift each other up, to share in each other's joys and burdens. And science affirms this. The longest-running study on happiness by Harvard researchers shows that close relationships, not wealth or fame, are the greatest predictor of long-term well-being. But modern life makes it easy to forget that. We get busy, distracted, buried in our goals, or glued to our screens. We assume there will always be time to catch up later, but later doesn't always come. And with each missed connection, we drift further from the very thing that makes life rich. So what can you do? Start by making time, not when it's convenient, especially when it's not. Call your parents, meet up with a friend, have dinner with someone you care about without your phone on the table. These acts don't have to be grand, they just have to be real. Because when you show up for people, you're not just nourishing your relationships, you're nurturing your soul. The Stoics also knew that meaningful relationships require patience and empathy. People will disappoint you, they'll frustrate you. But that doesn't mean they're not worth your love. As Seneca said, wherever there is a human being, there's an opportunity for kindness. Even the people who challenge us are our teachers. They test our compassion, our humility, our ability to see beyond ego. And remember, it's not just about receiving support, it's about giving it. Stoicism teaches that virtue lies in action, and one of the greatest acts of virtue is to support someone else through their struggles, to listen, to show up, to care. These are the gifts that create bonds strong enough to weather anything life throws your way. Being fully present with others is also an act of self-respect. It means you value your time enough to fill it with connection instead of noise. It means you recognize that love, friendship, and family are not extras, they're essentials. When you share your time, your laughter, your struggles, you're building something that lasts far beyond accomplishments or status. And don't wait for the perfect time. Life is happening now. The people you love won't always be there. The kids will grow up, the parents will age, the friendships will fade, unless you nurture them. So reach out, make plans, be there. Because when you look back on life, it won't be the goals you hit or the money you made that fills your heart. It'll be the memories you made with others. In the end, hanging out with friends and family isn't just good for your happiness, it's essential to your humanity. As the Stoics knew, we thrive not because we stand alone, but because we stand together. So don't just work on yourself. Make time for the people who remind you why it's all worth it. 11. Help others out. There's something deeply human about helping others. It's in our nature, even if the world sometimes teaches us to focus only on ourselves. But the truth is, when you lend a hand, offer encouragement, or simply show someone they're not alone, you're not just changing their life, you're transforming your own. The Stoics believed that one of the highest purposes of life is to contribute to the well-being of others, and in doing so, we become better, stronger, and more fulfilled. Marcus Aurelius, emperor and Stoic philosopher, once wrote, "What is not good for the beehive cannot be good for the bee." In other words, your life isn't separate from others, it's intertwined. When you lift someone up, you're strengthening the whole, and that includes yourself. The Stoics saw helping others not as charity, but as a moral responsibility. They knew that serving others doesn't drain you, it energizes you. It gives your life meaning. Modern science agrees. Studies have shown that people who regularly help others, through volunteering, mentoring, or small acts of kindness, experience lower stress, less depression, and greater life satisfaction. Helping releases feel-good chemicals like dopamine and oxytocin. It doesn't just boost your mood, it deepens your sense of purpose. You start to see yourself not as a passive observer of the world, but as an active force for good. But here's the beauty of it. Helping others doesn't have to be big or dramatic. It starts with presence, listening to a friend, offering a few kind words, holding space for someone who's struggling. Even the smallest gesture can leave a lasting impact. Seneca taught that these small acts are what build character, and over time they shape a legacy. Think about a moment when someone helped you, when they showed up without being asked, when they gave without expecting anything in return. You probably remember that moment vividly. That's the power of service. It leaves a mark. It reminds us that even in a chaotic world, there's still compassion, still connection, still hope. The Stoics would encourage you to be that reminder for someone else. They believed we're all students and teachers for one another. Your struggles, your insights, your strength, they can light the way for someone walking a similar path. And in helping others grow, you grow too. Because when you teach, you learn. When you support, you stretch. When you give, you receive. And don't wait for the right time. Don't wait until you're rich or successful or have it all figured out. The best time to help is now. Right where you are, with whatever you have. You don't need perfection to make a difference. You just need heart. Helping others also expands your perspective. When you focus outward, your own problems shrink. You start to realize that you're not alone in your pain, and that others are fighting quiet battles every day. That awareness cultivates empathy, humility, and gratitude. It softens your edges and strengthens your resolve. But don't forget, you matter too. Helping others isn't about self-sacrifice to the point of depletion. The Stoics believed in balance. You can't give what you don't have. So nourish yourself, mind, body, and soul so that your service comes from a place of strength, not exhaustion. So ask yourself, how can I help today? Who needs my attention, my kindness, my time? Maybe it's a friend going through something heavy. Maybe it's a stranger who just needs a smile. Maybe it's a cause that speaks to your heart. Whatever it is, step into it. Be the person who shows up, not because you have to, but because you can. Helping others isn't just something you do. It's who you become. It's the path to meaning, to connection, and to real, lasting joy. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the fruit of this life is good character and acts for the common good. So offer your hand, share your light, and in doing so illuminate the way for them and for you. 12. Focus on the good stuff you've got. It's easy to forget how much you already have when the world keeps telling you what you're missing. Everywhere you look, on your feed, in the news, even in casual conversations, you're reminded of what you don't own, haven't achieved, or haven't become. But the Stoics would tell you that's a trap. A life spent chasing what's missing will never feel whole. True happiness begins when you start appreciating the good that's already here. Seneca said it best, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." This single quote holds the key to a content life. Not in passivity, not in giving up on growth, but in realizing that joy doesn't come from constantly reaching forward. It comes from looking around right now and realizing you're already surrounded by more than you think. Gratitude is not just a feel-good practice, it's a superpower. Modern research has shown that people who focus on what they're thankful for experience better physical health, sleep more soundly, and report significantly higher life satisfaction. Gratitude rewires your brain. It shifts your focus from what's lacking to what's working, from scarcity to abundance. And once that shift happens, your whole experience of life changes. The Stoics weren't detached from the beauty of life, they were deeply present in it. Marcus Aurelius, even as emperor, took time every morning to reflect on the blessings of breath, of life, of having a role to fulfill. He wrote, "Do not dream of what you do not have. Instead recall with gratitude what you do possess, and how dearly you would long for these things if they were not yours." That is Stoicism at its core. Presence, perspective, peace. So how do you start? Begin by noticing the sunlight as it warms your face, the laughter of a friend, a roof over your head, a moment of stillness. These are not small things. They are the foundation of a meaningful life. Keep a gratitude journal. Each day, write down 3 things, big or small, that you're thankful for. Over time, you'll start noticing more and more to appreciate, because where your focus goes, your reality grows. And gratitude isn't just for the easy days. In fact, the Stoics believed it's most powerful when things are hard. Epictetus taught that even our challenges are blessings in disguise, opportunities to grow stronger, wiser, more resilient. He reminded us, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for what he is not, but rejoices for those which he has." You don't have to pretend everything is perfect, but you can choose to find something good, even in the midst of the storm. Maybe it's a lesson you've learned the hard way. Maybe it's the strength you didn't know you had until you needed it. Maybe it's simply the fact that you're still here, growing, learning, becoming. That alone is worth celebrating. And don't underestimate the ripple effect of gratitude. When you focus on the good, you become a light for others. You shift conversations, you uplift rooms. You remind people that contentment isn't about having everything, it's about appreciating what you already have. And that kind of energy is magnetic. Of course, gratitude doesn't mean you stop dreaming. The Stoics were not against ambition. They believed in growth, but growth rooted in contentment, not desperation. When you pursue your goals from a place of enough, you bring peace into everything you do. You stop hustling to fill a void and start building from a solid foundation. So take a deep breath. Look around. What in your life would you miss if it were suddenly gone? What can you appreciate today before it becomes a memory? You may find that what you've been searching for has been with you all along. In the end, focusing on the good stuff you've got isn't about settling, it's about seeing clearly. It's about training your mind to notice what's already right, already working, already beautiful. As the Stoics knew well, gratitude is the fastest path to happiness, and it's available to you in every moment you choose to see it. 13. Let go of grudges. Carrying a grudge is like dragging a heavy chain behind you. It slows you down, tires you out, and holds your spirit hostage. And yet we cling to resentment as if it protects us, as if staying angry will somehow bring us justice or peace. But the Stoics knew a deeper truth. Holding on to anger doesn't punish the other person, it punishes you. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." That's not weakness, that's mastery. Because choosing to let go of a grudge is not about pretending the hurt never happened. It's about refusing to let someone else's actions keep a grip on your mind and heart. We often hold on because we think it gives us control. We replay the moment, rehearse our pain, and justify our anger. But all it really does is anchor us to the past. It keeps us stuck, weighed down by emotions that no longer serve us. The Stoics would ask, if something is outside of your control, why give it power over your inner peace? And science agrees. Studies have shown that forgiveness, real, intentional forgiveness, reduces stress, lowers blood pressure, and even boosts immunity. People who let go of resentment sleep better, experience less anxiety, and live longer. Forgiveness isn't just good for the soul, it's medicine for the body. But how do you do it? Start by acknowledging your pain. Stoicism doesn't mean ignoring your feelings, it means facing them with honesty and courage. What hurt you? Why are you still carrying it? Then ask yourself this: is holding on to this pain making your life better, or is it making you bitter? Epictetus taught that people act out of ignorance, fear, or their own unresolved pain. That doesn't excuse their behavior, but it does offer perspective. When you realize that others are just as flawed, afraid, and human as you are, compassion becomes possible, and compassion is the doorway to freedom. Letting go doesn't mean reconciling. It doesn't mean you have to keep certain people in your life. It simply means you've made the powerful decision not to let their actions live rent-free in your mind. You don't have to carry it anymore. You are allowed to choose peace, and forgiveness isn't always instant. Sometimes it's a daily choice, a slow unwrapping of pain until what's left is understanding, acceptance, and finally, release. When those feelings creep back in, the Stoics would say, return to reason. Remind yourself why you let go. Remind yourself of the peace that's now available to you. Because here's the truth. Holding a grudge doesn't protect your heart, it hardens it. And when your heart is hard, it can't fully feel joy or love or connection. But when you release that burden, something amazing happens. You feel lighter. You see the world with clearer eyes. You make space for better things, things that were waiting for you all along. Letting go of a grudge is one of the most courageous acts you can take. It's not about them, it's about you. It's about choosing growth over grudge, wisdom over reaction, and peace over poison. So if there's something, someone, you've been holding on to, ask yourself, is it time to let go? Is it time to unchain your soul from the past and walk forward free? The Stoics would say yes, and once you do, you'll wonder why you carried it for so long. All right, we've explored lessons that aren't just rooted in ancient philosophy. They're the foundation of a life well lived. From laughing more and stepping outside, to waking up early, staying connected with loved ones, and learning to let go of what no longer serves us. These practices aren't just suggestions, they're reminders. Reminders that happiness doesn't come from chasing more, but from choosing wisely. From choosing to be present, to grow, and to live with intention. The Stoics never promised that life would be easy. What they offered was something even more valuable, a way to navigate it with clarity, strength, and peace. They taught that the path to joy isn't paved with perfection, but with perspective, with small daily decisions that shape who you become, and that journey starts inside. Because at the heart of all Stoic teaching is one profound truth: you are in control of your own mind. You may not control the world or the people in it or the circumstances that surprise you, but you always have power over how you think, how you respond, and how you show up. So, start now, not tomorrow, not when things slow down. Take one idea from this video and make it real. Maybe it's choosing gratitude before bed. Maybe it's saying yes to something new. Maybe it's simply turning off your phone and being fully present with the people you love. Whatever it is, let it become a seed. And with time, watch it grow into a better, more grounded, more joyful version of you. This journey isn't about achieving perfection. It's about learning to live with wisdom, balance, and heart. As Marcus Aurelius said, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. So guard them, guide them. And choose thoughts that lift you up rather than weigh you down. If this message resonated with you, if you found a piece of yourself in these words, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Pass it on. Because just as the Stoics passed down their wisdom through the ages, you have the power to inspire someone else today. And if you'd like to keep learning, keep growing, and keep applying timeless wisdom to modern life, be sure to subscribe and join us again. This is just the beginning. Let's walk this path together, one day, one thought, one choice at a time. Until next time, live with clarity, live with courage, and never forget. The life you want is shaped by the mind you choose to build.